Thank you for joining us for another episode of Debunking Girl Math here at Norfolk College. This project has been funded by the RCCD Foundation, and we're so glad you joined us. In this particular year, we enjoyed also a partnership with the Umoja program here at Norfolk College. I am Tamara Cummings. I am one of the co hosts, and I also teach all things economics here at Norfolk College. And this project was the result of in class conversations amongst many of the individuals who are seated here at our table, where some ideas and some conversations held in class resulted in a discovery of this thing called girl math on social media. Apparently, it's a phenomenon. So, we had classroom conversations where we debunked these notions of girl math that are um, dominating social media or their social media trends. And students came forward and said, why don't we have conversations about these things? And that resulted in podcasting, requests for funding, and the RCCD Foundation made it possible. So we're so happy that we've all come together to have conversations about debunking girl math. And please introduce yourselves, co host.
Yes, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm Cole Cunningham.
My name is Cameron Card.
I am Dowa Raw. And I'm Diane Castillo.
Thank you so much for introducing yourselves. We're so happy. And oh, by the way, this is not produced only by those in front of the microphone. There are also many individuals who are contributing behind the microphones. We have here Ashlyn, who is on our soundboard and doing all things recording. We also have Anna Macias, who is not seated at the table right now. And we also have Ruth, who is marketing photographer extraordinaire here at Norfolk College. So thank you again to all those who are not necessarily on camera, but who are behind the camera. Shall we get started with our topics?
Yes, I'm ready.
Who has a designer bag who wants to tell me about it as an investment?
Not me. No.
I know Diane does.
Unfortunately, don't. But I have vehicles.
You have vehicles. So let's talk about those luxury items as investments.
We would you like to chime in, Dr. B? Oh, they're all paid off, so I budgeted properly, and I have a Chevy Camaro, a Jeep, and a truck.
I love it. I love it. So are those investments?
Those were investments because so the Jeep and the truck were when I owned my own business.
Sure.
So I used them, and those were tax write-offs as well as business expenses, and then they were
You
all
don't
paid off.
say. Tax write-offs. Now, has she learned economics or has she learned economics in addition to business? Phenomenal. Thank you for sharing. What about you, Dowa?
I'm afraid I'm just a single mom of two lovely young adults, and these girls practice girl math still at their ages of 22 or 24. And the exciting thing about being here is that I am learning to be able to debunk the ideologies that they have and are so convinced are logical.
I hear you. I think there
That's what
is
I'm doing
tremendous,
here.
but I think there is tremendous logic to it. Perhaps we simply need to go through the arguments because some of it is really well justified. However, some of it just doesn't make economic sense. So let's have a conversation about those items that we purchase that we feel are justified, that are luxury items, and then we justify them as investments. Some other items we say there's additional value because mama gave it to me, or grandmama gave it to me, or my grandfather gave it to me. But on the market, what's the real value of it? Let's have a conversation about that. And then let's have a conversation about storing our money in those investments for sometime in the future where we might reap the benefits of that particular investment. Fair enough? Cam, what would you like to add?
Um, just to go back a little bit. So the point that I was getting at is that like when it comes to designer, I think that when it comes to designer bag, often a lot of people don't really realize this, but often a lot of bags and things of that such is gifted. You know, whether it's gifted by a spouse, whether it's gifted by a close family member or a close friend. A lot of people, and I've seen this a lot. A lot of people don't go and buy themselves designer bags. But then you have a lot of people that do those things. Um, but the from the people of my community, people that I've it's often given, you know, by itself. Same as like I know I have cousins who their wife gift them designer wallets and you know designer shoes, like or you know. So yeah, the big thing as well when it comes to these designer bags is that a lot of people are not going out of their way to purchase these. And getting to the economic point, um, I think that a designer bag could a designer in general, not just bag, but designer in general can be an investment if you invest in the correct product. Such as a lot of designer, if you buy something 20 years ago, the cost of that bag may skyrocket the longer that you have them. So, it,
I think that's an excellent point that you bring up because you bring about this idea of scarcity. The longer, right, it's been off the market or however long ago it was produced and sold, if you retain that particular item today, perhaps there are fewer of them, right, because they were all consumed at some point in the past. Is there value in retaining that particular item that you perceive a value in your closet? When you don't transact it, does it actually have a specific value in the market? We talk about that in the classroom. If I have money in my mattress, am I saving it? Am I hiding it? What's the value of that money outside of the market, especially if it's hidden and is not appreciating or changing in value? And I would ask the same of luxury items. So we can move off designer bags and just talk about luxury items in general. I love, Diane, that you brought about that you have specific cars and they've been bought and paid off in some period of time. And these are cars that you used beyond just leisure. These are vehicles you used for transportation, but you also use them primarily for your business. So, what does that mean from an economic context? It means you purchased items to grow your business, to reap a profit, which is a really interesting and really important concept that we talk about in
And then
economics.
sustainability.
Perfect. So, the maintenance of them probably was reasonable or sustainable
Yeah.
over some period of time.
I mean, at least for me, I even though I own more than one vehicle, I purchased them a few years back, and so they're still functioning. They're still able to be used, and their maintenance is pretty low compared to a Ferrari per se or a Rolls Royce, which is in the future. But those are vehicles that will be budgeted according to my income, my expenses, and what is needed because I'm not gonna purchase a Ferrari if I don't have a home without being able to park. Does that so for me, it has to be a sustainable choice, and the expense has to be managed and reasonable for me to
I love that idea because it makes me come you bring to mind it brings to mind this idea of when I buy a brand new vehicle and drive it off the lot, it instantly loses value. And so there's this idea that should I buy a brand new vehicle because I absolutely love it and I want the newest version and I want it with close to 0 miles on it, or should I buy one at that is for, let's say, the prior year and I can get equal value out of it. In economics, we ask ourselves, what is the value? How will that change my station currently? How will that change my way of living? How will that change my pocketbook, even, right? If I buy something now versus I buy something from the past as resale, right? So, any thoughts about that?
Yeah. Going back to the cars example, say there's a new supercar luxury that just came off the lot. You could buy that thing for a ton of money, or you could just go wait maybe like 5 years for it, and that thing's value will go down. and then if you wait long enough, then that value might go back up. So there's a certain risk in these investments too. To say if you crash that car, well, that's all that value gone. Replacing these parts on these cars is not cheap. So it's either you dish out the money to replace that part, or you never replace that part, and then it's just you can't get nearly as.
That's an important concept because I wonder, right, when a car is no longer being made, one, can you find the parts? So the value of your money once upon a time when you bought it brand new compared to the value that you have in utilizing that particular vehicle right now, what's the trade-off? Are you made better off? Are you always able to utilize a vintage car full? Or can you only use it for show? And does that reap profit? Does that bring about money if it's not being done for show? How do people make decisions about, oh, I'm going to park my money in this and hope that one day I never crash it, it appreciates in value? How do you mitigate that risk? How do you manage that risk? And how do you decide where I'm going to park my money? And it could be a car, it could also be a luxury product.
Yes. I don't have the luxury bags or cars or anything like this, but I do have a beautiful grand piano.
Nice.
And I bought it when I married my husband, and for years that was all we had in our house was the grand piano. 'Cause
Forget
it was
sitting
paid
down.
off.
Those
Yeah.
grand pianos are not cheap too. They are.
And it's beautiful. But I wonder, you don't see that in people's homes anymore. There was a time in America where there was a piano in every home, and it was valued as part of the furniture for sure.
Absolutely.
And I wonder how much people would value things like that these days if I would be able to resell it if I had to. I would I would be loath to part with it because I still play it. I taught my children how to read music, to play the piano, and from then they went on to the flute and trumpet and other instruments.
Beautiful.
So we value it as in our family.
Sure.
But I often wonder about the resale value and if it would be
Would the market value it as much as you value it? And you have layers on top of it. So not just the money value, but you have emotional layers tied into that, for which reason you value it differently than perhaps a new customer would value it, right? And I think we do the same with $2 bills. Anyone here ever received a $2 bill for Christmas from a grandparent, from an auntie, or a godparent? What do we do with a $2 bill, and why do we feel differently sometimes about the $2 bill than we talk about in a regular economics class?
Well, I think it's goes back to just an emotional, the benefit of it, or just the value of what, at least for my own perspective, is just the emotional value that brings to me and to my loved ones, right? So the $2 $2 bill is $2 in a sense, but the value of it, what it carries, is the significance of what it means to me and to my other loved ones. And so I truly put like 10 zeros on the $2 bill, which, yes, it might not identify with the $2 million that I'm gonna receive, but that's the ultimate goal, right? Is to have a visual of what you wanna do, and I think that $2 bill the benefit of it is that I value it at 2 million compared to the $2, and so that's the value that it carries for me. And
Diane, that brings about a concept that I wrote a paper about called hidden curriculum. And hidden curriculum tells us about planting the seed that grows beyond our wildest imagination. So you're not only talking about the $2 bill that we use here in the United States, which is not scarce, by the way. We've talked about $2 bills as scarce. It's just a bill that we don't use commonly compared to the $1 bill or the $5 bill or 10 or 20, and the list goes on. The $2 bill presents itself as unique, but it's not necessarily scarce. And then we value it for so many different reasons because of who it came from. And I have a strong emotion connected to the person who gifted it to me. Or to your point, it's my seed investment, which is what Cole was talking about, these risky investments or anticipating their value at some time in the future. I think that is so fantastic because in our different cultures, in our different environments, that perception of a seed investment means so much more. It means one day I may have it, but it also means I can dream about it now for something that will result as concrete in the future. It could also mean my legacy. Any thoughts about thinking of a $2 bill or luxury item as an investment, a legacy, a risk, or more?
I'm definitely resonate with the statement of the $2 bill, how it carries some emotional effect on some people. Every year during Christmas, my grandpa loves to give me a stack of $2 bills.
Chris,
Um,
probably,
yeah,
right? Yes.
fresh from the bank. He loves doing that. So I just have them sitting up in my room because I never do anything with them. I'll rarely make a purchase. I always try not to use those $2 bills because I value those differently. It's almost like a sentimental thing.
Absolutely.
I think it's like the coin dollar bills, right? So the
Yes,
coin dollar bill
yes.
also
Yeah.
holds the same meaning as the $2 bill, because it's so rare now to even see a dollar coin. Mhm.
Absolutely. Cam, you wanted to add and Doa, go ahead.
Um, well, what I wanted to add is just that so interesting that the fact is that with that $2 bill, you still couldn't get 2 packs of gum at the dollar.
I spoken like a true economist.
She used to always randomly, like, on birthdays and stuff, she'll come home and, like, she'll to make those little roll things where you pull it out the box and it'll be money. She used to do that with $2 bills. And so whenever I got those, there was a Walgreens right across the street. Um, I used to save at least one, but then the rest of them I used to spurge, the bag of chips, candy, because it was a party for me. I'm a kid, I didn't really realize the value of money. So, but definitely, now that I'm older, when I do get $2 bills, I often try to keep it in my wallet. And the reason why I say that, I always, it's a thing that I say, and I say that it brings good luck. And as long as I have this $2 bill in my wallet, money is always going to come back. So that's what I often do now. I even have this fake dollar, fake $1 million bill that I'm pulling out right now. Uh,
So let's think about, as you're looking for it, let's think about short term versus long term investments. And that's exactly what Cam is pointing to. This is his investment or his dream investment or his seed investment or what he hopes to capitalize on at some point in the future. I love this idea of reconciling it in a piece of paper that you designate as this future result. At the same time, I ask myself, what's the investment? So now I'm being practical. What's the investment? The dream is one thing. The $2 bills that your grandfather gives you, the $2 bill that has how many zeros at the end? The fake $1 million bill that Cam has in his pocket, the investment of the baby grand or the grand piano in your room. What's the actual investment that we're talking about? And what's the result of that investment in the near term or short term? What's the result of that investment in the long term, beyond the dream? What's the action behind it that will result in 20 million, 1 million, and the list goes on? Or do we simply hold emotional value?
Mine's simply emotional. There's no way that $2 bill is gonna increase in value unless, say, the government decommissions it and they stop making it. Even then, it would take many, many years for it to actually go up in value. It's purely emotional for me.
I think it's emotional investment for
Sure.
myself as well, but, I do believe in the same if you think it, it'll come it'll come to fruition and it will become true, and not to say I'm all because I do have faith and I believe that the Lord will do it, but, to have something visual, I think is the investment for me, to have a physical dollar be an actual dollar bill, be valued at whatever I foresee it to be.
I like that. I like that.
And to piggyback off of what you said, a dream is obtainable if you work hard enough. And so, yeah, I see it as an emotional value to me, something that brings good luck, something that anything of that sort, it's emotional. And they haven't steered me the wrong way yet. So I'm gonna keep on believing and believing in my belief.
I like that. Doa, any thoughts? Your
Um,
grand piano.
yeah. I do love that grand piano. It comes with me whatever home I move to and wherever I go. Um, I think I look at it and think that that is the last thing I would let go, apart from my children, of course. Um, so that is what it means to me.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that there's just a couple pieces in my house. I've got a fabulous Mexican bench, the the
Nice.
grand piano, my children, and my American citizenship. These are the things I hold dear.
Yeah, and since you move it you wherever you move to, do you regret making that investment initially, or you're grateful for that initial investment of the grand piano?
Oh no. Um, when I move and take the piano with me, I am so grateful to be able to take it with me, to put it into storage until all the furniture is in the new place, and that's the first thing I look for when I move to a new home is where is the piano gonna go?
We have talked about so many different aspects of investments and value, short term thinking, long term thinking. And I would say that our discussion today was not just about economics, it's about the value we actually attribute to our value system. I love this because we've talked about everything but money. We've talked about those things that actually enrich our lives beyond just money. And oh, by the way, we do have conversations about money. They're in other episodes. So I hope you will join us for future episodes or past episodes that we've had where we do discuss money. But for this episode, I wasn't sure of the angle that we would take. And I'm so grateful that we brought about the importance of our value system when it's present, when it's lacking, our short term valuation system, and also how important it is to invest, not just today, but in what we intend to be in the future. So thank you for joining us. We thank the RCCD Foundation for funding this podcast project here at Norco College, where we discuss debunking girl math. Thanks.